Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? I got a troubling update for you guys in this father who lost his life via being shot by a Las Vegas police officer. We covered this story already, but I felt like I needed to do an update on it because it has now become abundantly clear to me that the police officer who shot him, in my opinion, may have committed an egregious crime that went beyond an accident and might deserve to spend a significant amount of time behind bars. You cannot shoot citizens and not be held accountable when you had a duty to know that that citizen may have been in the right for doing what they were doing in their own home. As a law enforcement officer, having a badge and a gun does not absolve you from protecting people's constitutional rights. And it's abundantly clear now to me, in my opinion, that the officer should have known better because he had prior knowledge that the trans girlfriend that was in the home attacking this father, this pillar of the community, with a knife was the aggressor. Why? Because he saw her the previous day, less than 24 hours prior. This police officer was introduced to this woman, was advised that she was a danger to the victim, and was advised by the victim that he believed that this trans girlfriend was going to try and take his life. I want you guys to dial into this news story and get the details on the updates of this unfortunate case where a father of a 15-year-old girl was stolen from his family, his friends, his career, and the community by the bad judgment of a police officer. Let's keep going.
We also have new information tonight in the deadly police shooting of a local homeowner who called 911 to report a home invasion. The officer who ended up shooting and killing 43-year-old Brandon Durham also responded to the home about 24 hours earlier about the same suspect who broke in.
Okay, here's the timeline of what we know so far. This is late on November the 10th. Durham called 911 to report.
And guys, I want to just bring this out there to you guys because we were all very confused because sometimes they were giving us male names with male pronouns. Sometimes they were giving us female names with female pronouns. It has now been confirmed that Alexandra Boudreau is a trans female, meaning that she's a male, a biological male who has transitioned to female. So, of course, we're going to be using her preferred pronouns. Well, she hasn't told me what her preferred pronouns is, but we're going to assume out of respect and use her preferred pronouns as she and her. She and her. So moving forward, we're going to 100% make sure that we identify her as her. But it's important for us to understand why there was confusion. The reason why there was confusion is that she is a trans woman. All right, let's keep going.
For 31-year-old Alejandro Boudreau, a person that he knew, was trespassing at his home and wouldn't leave. Police responded and say Boudreau left on her own volition before 1 in the morning on November 11th. She returned to the house after midnight on November 12th, about 24 hours later. That's when Durham calls 911 for help, believing that Boudreau might try to kill him. During the police response, he was shot by the same officer who came to the house a day before.
All right, but they just glossed over something. I think they're going to get more into it as the news reporting goes on. But it wasn't that she just left. She had police interaction, and the police actually looked her up and saw her criminal history and her violence, her history of violence. This lady had a history of violence in her past that has been documented with arrests. And so the officers knew who she was. The officers met her. The officers negotiated with her and had her leave the residence and agree that she would not return. It wasn't like they arrived and she was already gone or whatever. No, the officers talked to her. The officers had interaction with her, and she is the one who decided, I'm going to pack up all my stuff, because she had stuff there. She had clothes and personal belongings in the residence. She packed up all her stuff and was like, okay, I'm going to get on a plane and leave. But her plane ticket was canceled because allegedly she used a stolen credit card. Could it have been Brandon's credit card? They were not clear about that. But she used a stolen credit card, so that ticket was canceled. She then decided on the 12th to return to Brandon's house and start destroying his property, etc. Oh, I just realized I'm bleeding. But I'm like, why is my hand burning? I'm bleeding. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So the officers knew who she was. They knew about her criminal past. They understood that she was trespassing and she was not a legal resident of the home. She was just visiting. And the homeowner no longer wanted her in the home. And when we juxtapose that information with the fact that Brandon is holding her hand against the wall and she has her hand like this with a knife. I'm over here re-injuring myself. You guys know I'm bleeding. She's holding a knife like this. Brandon is holding her hand against the wall like this. And the officer still shoots him. That's murder, in my opinion. That is murder. But let's keep going.
Body cam video showing Durham was struggling over a knife with Boudreaux when he was shot and killed by that Metro officer.
News 3 also obtaining the mugshot for Boudreaux, who has a criminal history in multiple states. And Kristen Drummond has been doing excellent reporting on this, bringing us more information. It gives us new insight into this case. She's here in the studio tonight with what she has uncovered now.
Well, Jim and Dana, these are this is Boudreaux's mugshot from one of at least 4 arrests in Florida between 2015 and 2017. She was taken into custody as well in Seattle in August of this year.
I'm going to pause it here. Even though this is important information what this young lady's reporting, look at the hand of Boudreaux. Look at the hand of Boudreaux. Look at the hands of Brandon. Look at Mr. Durham. He is obviously protecting himself. And this officer who's pointing this weapon at these two people, one a perpetrator and one a victim, Brandon Durham being the victim, he knows who the person in the red is, that is the trans girlfriend, Alexandra Boudreaux. He knows that. There's no mystery to that. He knows that is a trespasser because Brandon called the cops 24 hours in the past, and this officer responded to the scene and understood that Boudreaux was trespassing, negotiated with Boudreaux, had Boudreaux leave the home. To my understanding, in my opinion, he understood what this dynamic was. And Brandon told him or other police officers on scene that he feared for his life, that he thought Boudreaux was going to try and kill him. Brandon told that to these police officers less than 24 hours before this incident. Yet this officer charges into a home he's already been at and stumbles across 2 people he's already provided police service to. And he chose to shoot the person that he knew was the victim based off of what he saw, because this is what he saw. This body camera is showing what he saw. Whether he interpreted it that way is his own business. He's going to have to flesh that out in court if he gets arrested, which he should be arrested. But this is what he saw, what we're seeing. But what we didn't know when we saw this video is that he had prior knowledge. He had prior knowledge of who was the victim and who was the perp. And Boudreaux is the perp, and he knew that. And the victim told him that Boudreaux wanted to take his life. And then he happened upon a scene where Boudreaux is clearly posing a threat to Brandon Durham. Let's keep going.
And accused of assault. We've also obtained records about that initial 911 trespass call the day before the police shooting. And we did share with you last night that audio from the 911 call. Now, the notes from that police response offer new insight into this case, since the officer who killed Durham was at his house the night before.
Wow.
News 3 obtaining records from Metro Police. It shows officers responded to 43-year-old Brandon Durham's home about 24 hours before the deadly police shooting, arriving to address a person not leaving his house. The document lists the officers. That includes 26-year-old Alexander Bookman, the same person who shot and killed Durham the following night inside the house, as seen on body camera video.
drop the knife!
Durham died after struggling over a knife with an intruder identified as 31-year-old Alexander Bookman.
And I think that the community at large should really be concerned.
Attorney Canon Lambert, he represents the Durham family and questions.
Anybody who knows my show, especially the previous show that I was doing before I went to True Crime exclusively, they know, because we did police shootings and stuff like that. We've been doing that for years. For years. They know, rarely do I ever side with the folks who were shot by police, because when you look at it objectively, 95% of the time the police either acted in good faith and made a mistake, or they were justified in taking the actions that they took. If Strategic Eyes is saying, I don't agree with the officer and the officer should be charged, that tells you a lot. This is not an activist channel. This is not an anti-police channel. This is a bleed blue channel. Support police, fund the police. The police are heroes on these streets channel. And if I'm telling you something's not right in Kansas, of course it didn't happen in Kansas, it happened in Las Vegas, but you guys know what I'm saying. If I'm telling you there's something wrong here, you better listen. Because rarely will I say it unless I believe it to be true. And I believe it to be true. This officer had terrible judgment, and terrible judgment should not shield you from accountability, because a father of a 15-year-old girl is dead right now. And this father did everything he could in his power to educate the police on his situation. He did the right thing. He called the cops. He explained the dynamics of the relationship that he had with this trans female. And not only that, but the officers witnessed the person with their own eyes. They saw who she was. They had eyes on her. They spoke to her. They negotiated with her. They explained the law to her. They ordered her to leave the home. And she complied. So when this officer came back less than 24 hours later, he knew exactly who she was. He knew exactly what the dynamics of Brandon and Boudreaux's relationship was. He should have known that Brandon Durham was fighting for his life. He shot the wrong person. He has to be held accountable. Let's keep going.
Did Bookman interact with Durham the night before? That remains unclear from the document.
The only significance that goes to the question of whether or not that call was made 24 hours beforehand is the fact that the officers may have been put on notice as to who actually lived at the residence.
Right.
Are you going to be waiting inside the home for us?
Yeah, I'll be on the outside. I don't want to get in any tussle.
Durham notifying a 911 operator he would be in his car. He also wanted authorities to cite Boudreaux for trespassing.
Right. Notes
show she agreed to leave, packed up her things, and called an Uber to the airport. She returned, though, hours later after her ticket was canceled because someone called and said it was purchased with a stolen credit card.
Let me see it right here. The employee at the gate told Boudreaux that the ticket was canceled because someone called and said the ticket was purchased with a stolen credit card. So I don't know who that is. We got to definitely find that out. I want to read this for myself. I don't just want to get this redacted or truncated version by the news. So it says, Boudreaux became frustrated with Durham's multiple sexual partners. So this is the story. This is the DV that we got going on here. Boudreaux, the trans female, became frustrated with Durham's multiple sexual partners. She was also upset that Boudreaux was not being accountable for blank. Boudreaux and Durham decided mutually that it would be best for Boudreaux to leave. During the early morning hours of November 11, 2024, Durham was at a hotel with another female while Boudreaux was at his house. This is true. Durham was, he was playing with fire. You don't do that to people. But this is just the account of Boudreaux. We don't know if this is the truth, but let's go. Durham was at a hotel with another female while Boudreaux was at his house. Durham called police and Boudreaux agreed to leave the house. Boudreaux left the house and used Uber to go to the airport where she stayed until her flight. Boudreaux checked in her luggage for the flight and proceeded through security to the departure gate. While she was at the gate, Boudreaux was told her ticket had been canceled. The employee at the gate told Boudreaux that the ticket was canceled because someone called and said the ticket was purchased with a stolen credit card. Very, interesting stuff. This is messy. This is domestic violence stuff, and that's why it's so messy. Let's keep going.
According to an arrest report, surveillance video shows a person suspected to be Boudreaux around the property, smashing windows for entry.
And Boudreaux came in with the Pooh Shiesty mask, ready for war. Boudreaux came in looking like they was the burglar, the Hamburglar. Let's keep going.
And prompting the police response that resulted in Durham's death.
Yes.
Records show Boudreaux, who identifies as a transgender woman, has a criminal history dating back to 2015 in Florida, including domestic violence and trespass. Court documents from Seattle also reveal an arrest on August 12th this year. She's accused of assaulting a bartender.
She's a very violent person, and I want to definitely just add this in one more time because I made a slight commentary on the character of Durham. We do not have any evidence that what Boudreaux is saying about Durham being with multiple females and hotels with women and blah, blah, blah is true. We don't have no evidence of that. We are hearing that from a person who decided to smash this man's windows, cars up, break into his house with a knife, and claim that their intention was for police to end them. Their intention was not to hurt Durham, but to self-ending via police. That's where we're getting this information from. So take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen, because really, this person has no credibility. So take it with a grain of salt. Let's keep going.
We're in contact with the family every day, and this is an extremely difficult thing.
For Lambert, he seeks answers for Durham's family and continues demanding for the arrest of Officer Bookman.
What information is missing that would warrant or would not warrant an arrest?
The district attorney's office says it plans to wait for Metro Police to finish their internal investigation before determining criminal charges for the officers. Now, Boudreaux is scheduled to appear in court this Monday. A judge ordered her to be there by any means necessary after she refused transport twice to court. Jim.
All right, big shout out to this local news station who did a heck of a job gathering the information and presenting this to us, because this is very probative, very important information, and I appreciate that. Listen, man, I don't know what kind of laws they have down in Las Vegas, but in most states in America, Boudreaux would be charged with murder, since her actions, having that deadly weapon in her hand, is one of the reasons why Durham is dead right now. So technically, I believe that Boudreaux should be charged with murder. Her actions precipitated this officer shooting Durham. But I do believe, based off of this new information, is my belief that the officer who shot Durham should be charged with manslaughter at the very least, because his judgment was terrible, and he should have known that Durham was in his own home and Boudreaux was a trespasser. Should have known that, especially after Durham told these officers that he was a victim of trespassing and that he believed that Boudreaux was going to try and end his life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this officer should be charged, but we'll leave it up to this investigation to determine what's going on. That's just my opinion. Please like and subscribe on the channel. Strategic is out of here, guys. Peace.